Corporations are having more problems with holding their employees because of culture. Welcome to Miami. Whatever comes to my mind at that moment. Corporations are having more problems with holding their employees because of culture. What I find is that from 0 to 2, we tell kids to stand up and talk, and from 2 to 22, we tell them to sit down and shut up and raise your hand if you want to go to the bathroom. And then we expect them at 22 years old to get up and go be productive, amazing, highly emotional, intelligent, team-building, individuals. It's amazing what we've created in this world. And more corporations, we're flying right now to Atlanta to do a corporate training, but more corporations are having higher problems with retaining long-term employees because it's a cult mentality of telling people what to do and what to believe instead of a culture, which is funny how cult is in culture, but we build a culture with the Mindful Power Institute because we show people how to get what they want without forcing something down their throat so they can create their own belief system. Atlanta, Georgia, here we come. This is gonna be fun. I enjoy to do a lot more corporate training. It's amazing to be able to see how fast for-profit corporations want to shift their belief system mindset to get results. So I was in Houston, Texas with about 30 managers of restaurants. So the owner and I got to know each other. And these restaurants are amazing. How they run, you walk in, I walk into a Wendy's and people are like, what do you want? Can I take your order? Like that. You walk into a Chick-fil-A or an In-N-Out, people are like, hey, good to see you. Starbucks, like, welcome, like all this. So it's interesting on the different contexts of how they train or who they hire. So all these managers were in this room, and I said, what are the biggest challenges you come up with? And one of them said, people not following through with their job. And I go, can you give me an example? He goes, yeah, I had to fire a cook this last year because he's one of my best chefs, and because he's always late. And I asked him, why was he late? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, so what if his grandmother has cancer, his grandmother has cancer, his wife just died of whatever, he's got 4 kids, he's got to take them all to school now, and he's got all this stuff going on in his life, but he can't be open and vulnerable with you because you don't even care to understand where he's coming from. And everybody else just looks at him, and he's like, I don't know. And it's interesting how our management is trained. I find when we start understanding when I can see this is the payoff, like I'm looking for attention, I'm being victim, I'm trying to be in control of everything, I'm talking smack, about people, I'm trying to whatever that is, a lot of it just comes down to something that happened at some part. Like one of my COOs, she goes, she likes to be in control, and her CEO told her something happened to you as a kid. And she said, nothing happened to me as a kid. I had a great childhood. I've all this stuff. And I asked her at breakfast one day, we got breakfast, and her CEO was like, go have breakfast with Puder. So I'm like, what? This isn't like punishment, I just want to get to know your COO. So I started coaching and stuff, and I said, what means more to you? What would happen if you died today and left your kids behind? And she cracked. She started crying. She goes, I can't do that. And so it was interesting to be able to see what means a lot to her. And so in the last probably 4 months, she went back, she goes, as a kid, the only thing is I was really super smart, and I had to try to fit in because I was good looking and I was super smart, but I wasn't wealthy. And the schools I was going to that I got put at, she went to Georgetown for college, she went back to elementary, parents put her in nicer schools, but she didn't ever fit in. And so it was interesting. So and she started working on this, going back and what was my story I created about myself, because I felt that I didn't fit in and I wasn't good enough in different parts, but I knew that I was better than them at school and everything else. She's one of the most, I mean, she reminds me of you guys. I mean, it's like she's very, you would love her. And so she just started figuring it out. In second grade, she was not invited to one of the other girls' houses for the birthday. And so she started this whole, she's like thought about this a lot, talked to her parents. She's like, what was it? And she just created a story at that age that she wasn't good enough. And so she started to hide. She started to just do really good at school, and she disconnected from humans because she didn't want to be hurt or left behind. It was very simple, but it takes a little bit of time for some people to start recognizing the little things like that. Like a lot of athletes I see, we want to prove ourselves because of something at some point that pushes, at least for me. It was the bullying. Like, they picked on me. Okay, I'll show you. Like, right. I'll become something in my life. Screw you. And it's interesting how we shift that context, because it doesn't always work. Like, I do it now because I find when I walk into like, we have a jail system that we dropped the rearrest rate from 80% to less than 25% in the last 3 years. Or at Nova Southeast University, with the kids that go through our course, we've dropped it from about 25% dropout to less than 3% dropout or transfer. And so when we're able to show those shifts, it's not, I do it for the people, not for myself now. Because I know when I have 1,000 people or 10,000 people that we're shifting their lives, and now I get calls almost every day or texts saying, thank you very much. I got into med school, I'm doing this, you know, like all this stuff now, that fuels me instead of the actual fear-based, like, if I don't do this, who am I gonna be? So it's, and then some other people get negatively, like when they work with us with the kid side of it, they get negative, and it can work for adults too. If the adults don't shift, then I'm not good enough. So one of our interns, she was working with a kid that went off track again. She's like, screw him, like, I'm not gonna help him anymore. And it's interesting, just on her commitment to herself, it reflected, and it showed me, because her commitment to him wasn't unconditionally loving. It was like, I'll only love you if you.